morning, everybody, and welcome back to the To Nurture Your Soul podcast. Today, you are joined with me at 8:54 a.m., which is one of the earliest times that I've ever sat down to record. So you're going to have to bear with me. I've got a coffee on hand because the brain, she's still waking up, and we didn't have the best of sleeps last night, so... This episode is either about to get super chaotic or just, I don't know, it might be the best episode that I have ever filmed yet. Stay tuned to find out. Also, how cute is my coffee mug? It's one of my faves. It's got boobies all over it. If you know me, you know. So I'm probably going to be sipping on that as we go through today's episode. But I had to film this early because as soon as I finish recording this episode, I am going to go to my little day job that I've got for the next 4 hours. So we needed to squeeze the podcast episode in for this week because I didn't want to leave you guys hanging. So how have you guys been? What have you been up to? Let me know in a comment down below as always. As I mentioned in the previous episode, this is my first week of trying Marley Spoon, which is like the HelloFresh equivalent here in Australia. And guys, I'm just gonna kick this episode off by talking about this like straight away. I am loving it. I'm obsessed. Marley Spoon, come through with a sponsorship, please. Because I genuinely am loving it. I think it's so much fun. So last night and the night before, I had this like a tomato-y sauce prawn thing with like potatoes and spinach and just like all this amazing goodness. It was so freaking good. And tonight I have the choice of either vegetable risotto or mushroom pasta, which they both sound so freaking good. I'm super excited about that. I told you guys in the last episode that I would update you on what I thought of it, and so far, so good. I am absolutely loving it. So if you guys do want to try it out, I highly recommend. I will leave a link in the description box down below. Obviously, like I said, this video is not sponsored, but I think that if I refer a friend, you guys get a free box to start with, and I get $25 off my next order or something. So if you guys are looking into doing it, I highly recommend. But yeah, I just wanted to start today's episode off with that because I did say that I would update you, and here's your update. So other than that, this week has been absolutely hectic for me. I'm currently filming this on a Wednesday. The week's only half over and I feel like I've got so many more things booked in for my week this week. I started off with an appointment with my accountant on Monday to do my taxes from last year, which... Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started. It was a lot. I did come home and I did have a little cry. If I'm going to be completely transparent, I did come home and I did cry. We're not going to talk too much about it because I may cry again. I don't know. But you know what? It's in the past. It's onwards and upwards from here. And I'm just looking forward to the spring and summer seasons for all the markets and everything to nurture your soul. I'm super excited. As you guys are listening to this episode, actually, today is the launch day of the hardcovers. So in last week's episode, I mentioned that it was the pre-order date and I had the pre-order open for a week. So hopefully all of you guys have gotten your orders in by, I guess, like last night. If you're watching this when this episode goes live, hopefully you all have your orders in. And today is the actual launch day, so I'm only physically putting on the website like 5. So if you didn't get in this past week for the pre-order, there is a very limited amount that I will be putting on the website today, the same time that this podcast goes live. So if you haven't got one yet, or if you missed out, or if you forgot or whatever, definitely make sure to jump on the website, check it out, see if there's any left. It is limited edition, so once they're gone, they're not coming back. But other than that, I'm so excited about it. As I'm filming this episode, the pre-sale is 2 days away. So I have all of that stuff to prep tomorrow, which I'm super excited about. I am genuinely so interested to see how this launch goes. Launches haven't really been the best over the past couple months. So I'm hoping this hardcover one, brings us back a little bit. I know there's lots of people who are excited about the hardcover, lots of people who haven't previously bought the individual books because they're waiting for the hardcover. So fingers crossed, hopefully we get a decent amount of orders. I'm super excited. And yeah, if you guys haven't checked that out already, definitely do that. That's something that I personally am really excited for this week. And other than that, I don't know what other updates I have for you guys. I started my little casual job 1 to 2 days a week, and I've honestly been loving the switch up of routine. I know we spoke about routine in the last episode and how I was finding it a little bit difficult with all the things that I'm trying to juggle at the moment, and I still am finding it a little bit difficult. But at the end of the day, I definitely am someone that thrives on having a busy schedule. Like, I love being constantly booked and busy. And when I am not like out and doing things all the time, I find that I can get myself into a bit of a rut and a bit of a lazy habit, a bit of a, I don't know, I'm not wanting to leave my house for 4 or 5 days type of vibe. And that obviously is not good for my mental health. So I've really been enjoying the fact that this little casual job 1 to 2 days a week has been allowing me to get out of my house. Like, it's a commitment that I have to go to, and it's something where I can connect with new people, where I get to see a bunch of different faces every day other than just my own in the videos that I film and the TikToks that I make and all of that stuff. It's been super good. I have really been enjoying it. I think going back to another episode, I think the episode went up while I was away. It was about boundaries and how setting boundaries is super important for you to lead a happy and healthy lifestyle. And I think with going into this job, I set really high boundaries for myself. I told myself I wasn't working night times, I wasn't working weekends, my business was a main priority, and I was only doing like 10 hours a week, which is exactly what I got, which I think is why my mental health is thriving. So yeah, kind of like looping back to that video and what we spoke about a couple months ago, a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago, whenever it was. I think the fact that I set those boundaries and the fact that I'm reaping those rewards right now really goes to show and is an example of what we were talking about in that episode. So yeah, I don't know if you've been struggling a lot at the moment with setting boundaries, or if you're feeling like certain things are too much, take this episode as a sign. Put in some boundaries for your own self, for your own mental health, for your own well-being, for your own happiness, honestly. If you haven't already, or if you can see certain aspects of your life that need new boundaries set, or the reassessing of boundaries even. That's what I've really been enjoying. I've been really enjoying going to this job, and if you had told me 6 months ago that I would be enjoying doing this, craziness. I would have cried at the thought of what I'm doing right now. But I'm loving it. I'm having so much fun. Those are my little life updates for this week. I'm gonna have another sip of my coffee before she goes cold, because we don't want that. Also, I thought my coffee machine was broken this morning. I needed a coffee to sit down and film this episode, and my frother was not frothing. And I was like, no, don't do this to me today. Please not today. Yum. Love that for me. Let me know what you guys' coffee order is in the comments down below if you're watching on YouTube. I go through so many different coffee orders, and I feel like I have a different one for each season. At the moment, because it's still winter here in Australia, I'm a dirty chai type of gal. Dirty chai on soy milk? Yes, please. Love that for me. But when I was over in the UK, they don't do dirty chais. Unless like you ask specifically, and a lot of places look at you like, what? What are you talking about? Where are you from? But yeah, so if they don't have a dirty chai, I just go for a vanilla latte on soy. And if I'm having an iced coffee in the summer, vanilla latte on soy milk. That's so irrelevant to everything. Lacey, get yourself in check. We've got topics to talk about in today's episode in limited time, even though surely we all love a good coffee chat. Just saying. So getting into today's episode, today I thought that I would sit down and talk about my anxiety over the years, which, strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen, this is a big fat topic. Don't ask me why I decided to talk about this today when I've got limited time, but we're gonna cram it in. We're gonna smash it out. So yeah, I thought that I would sit down and just talk on my anxiety over the years and what I've done to take it from high functioning to minimal and manageable, which I feel like I can confidently sit here and say to you guys, there was a point in my life where my anxiety was so high functioning, like every single day, and to the point now where, like, even in the past few episodes I've spoken about like traveling and my anxiety and how I'm able to do that easily and enjoyably now with little to no anxiety at all. So I really want to talk about how I went from super top of the Richter scale to almost fully down the bottom, with anxiety only really coming up when things trigger me in life, or when I haven't, had enough sleep, done enough exercise, eaten healthily, which are all normal things. So starting off on this topic, I do just want to give a general overview of what my anxiety used to look like. So for me, my anxiety used to look like sleeping every single day just to avoid the anxiety, to avoid the uncomfortable feelings. I would sleep any spare second that I had just so that I could avoid the panicky feeling. So that obviously had a massive impact on my day-to-day life. It stuffed up my sleeping schedule, which didn't help the anxiety. And it also just didn't help my general well-being at all in my day-to-day life. A massive side effect of my anxiety is actually like getting frustrated. So when my anxiety gets to a point where it's out of my control, I get frustrated, and like it adds to the heavy chest feeling, it adds to the overwhelming thoughts, it adds to the fuzziness of the brain, and I just get really overwhelmed and frustrated. And my mum in particular has experienced this firsthand from me when I was struggling a lot. She could have just, asked me what I wanted for dinner, and I would have said, I don't know. It made me come across as an awful human. And this played a lot into when I was working my hospitality job like 2 years ago as well. I was just so overworked. I was doing 40 to 50 hours a week. As we all know, I've spoken about it heaps, but I was doing night shifts. I was doing 15-hour shifts. So my body was under so much like stress and pressure. I was also running an entire restaurant on my own with zero experience and not getting paid to do so. So yeah, a lot of my anxiety would come out in my hospitality job. I'm sure every single customer that I had and every single table that I waited on probably thought that I was the worst human being ever and that I just hated life, because honestly at the time I did. I was not having a fun time, and I was not setting my boundaries in place and prioritizing myself and my own mental health, because at the time I didn't really understand it. It honestly wasn't until I started going to therapy and seeing my therapist Leslie that I started to understand my anxiety and know what triggered me, how to look after my body and my mental health, and what to do moving forward so that I'm not that person, because I am not an angry, anxious person. And for so long I thought that I was, which I think was the hardest part about it all. I was constantly like so frustrated from my anxiety, but then I was also frustrated because I was like, I know that I am not this type of person. I know that I am a happy, kind, positive person, which I like to think that I am now. But at the time, I was like so frustrated and angry all the time that I was like, why am I like this? This is not who I am. And I just completely felt so unaligned in my life, if that makes sense. So that is a very, very general idea of what my anxiety used to look like. I used to have massive panic attacks, not as often as what I hear other people talk about who struggle with high functioning anxiety as well. I think everyone's anxiety comes out in different forms. For me, it was the anger. I would get like just frustrated, and it's not even that I would yell at anyone, because obviously that is not who I am at all, and so that never ever came out in my anxiety. It was the frustration, the feeling of just being so frustrated at even nothing. Like it could be nothing, just my anxiety, and so I would be frustrated at nothing. But on the rare occasion I did have panic attacks, it was mainly when like certain people pushed me to a point. The panic attacks and anxiety attacks never really came from situations or circumstances, I guess. It came when I was around the wrong people, which is something that we will get into talking about as well, because I really truly think a major thing that helped my anxiety was cutting out the people that induced my anxiety, and introducing new people into my life that leveled me out and was on my same vibrational level as when I was my true, authentic, happy, kind self. So yeah, that's a little look into what my anxiety used to look like. It was not fun. So awful for my relationships, my job, my mental health, my personal life, and my anxiety actually led me to have a little bit of a problem with alcohol. I wouldn't say that I was an alcoholic because I wasn't drinking like every single day of the week, you know, getting blackout drunk. But when I did get drunk, I did get blackout like every single time. There was no casualness about it. It was a blackout, and it was because I could forget about my anxiety for the weekend or for the Sunday sesh or for the Wednesday student night in town. If you're from Newcastle, you know all these things, you know all these references. So yeah, it was a tough time, and I think that's why I sit here every single week and I tell you guys how proud of myself that I am for getting to the point that I am now. Because I think there was a point with my anxiety and depression, but anxiety in particular, where I could have really gone one of two ways. Like, I could have done what I did and taken the steps to get help, go to therapy, learn to understand my mind and my mental health, and want more for myself, to be better for myself. Or I could have continued to get drunk every weekend, spend all my money on alcohol, forget about my problems for the night, create new problems for myself that night, and then wake up the next morning feeling even worse. And I think that's where a lot of the time, like, people have the choice. You have the choice, which I think when a lot of people are super, super deep in anxiety or depression or any type of mental health in general, it can become so overwhelming and challenging to the point where you feel like you don't have a choice. But at the end of the day, every single person on this earth who struggles with mental health or not, like, we all have choices. We all get to wake up every single day and make the choice to either better ourselves or just let ourselves go to shit, if I'm gonna be completely honest. And I decided to make that choice for myself. I don't know if I got to a certain age. I don't know if I hit rock bottom. I went through enough shit where I was like, you know what? No, I actually can't do this anymore. And I deserve better. But yeah, we all have that choice. And I think, like, a lot of the time, the lines can get blurry, you know? Like, when you're struggling, things are fuzzy and things are hard. But if you really strip it back to be black and white, we all have one of two options. You know, you make the choice to put the effort in to better yourself, to work on who you are, or, you know, the other option is not as great, obviously. So yeah, that was a little bit of a longer chit chat on what my anxiety used to look like. I know I've spoken about it a lot, like here and there in different episodes of this podcast, but I feel like now I've just kind of like explained it all as a whole. And if I ever want to reference you guys back to a certain point about my anxiety, this is the video that I will reference you to. That's what my anxiety looked like, and that's how it affected my daily life. So the next thing that I have written on my little list here to transition into is how I noticed that I needed to change something and the actions that I took to do so. So I feel like I kind of already went over that a little bit in my little backstory, but for me, I noticed that I needed to change something when I realized that I just wasn't myself anymore. I felt unaligned, I felt stuck, I just felt like I was living Groundhog Day. Life was boring, life was not fun, and I just knew that this angry, frustrated version of myself was not the person that I wanted to be. I knew that deep down it's not who I was, and so showing up as that version of myself every single day in life was just it's just not what I wanted for myself. So I think I finally realized that after I went through a lot of shit as well. I had some pretty shitty people in my life when I also was realizing all of this. I think at the same time I was being treated really, really poorly. And I think it also took like seeing that I was being treated so shit by someone else to be like, actually, you know what? I deserve better than that for myself, which then trickled on into all other aspects of my life. So yeah, it was a mixture of a few different things, but pretty much I don't know, I feel like I woke up one day and I was like, I'm tired of being treated like shit in every single aspect of my life, by my job, by relationships that I had at the time, and honestly also by myself. Like, I am putting blame on myself just as much as I am for all the other avenues of my life at the time. I think it took just like being treated like shit by every single thing, like every single aspect, you know? And I think that's why I said a little bit earlier, sometimes it does take hitting rock bottom to be like, fuck, like I need to do something about this, you know? I really just was getting shit from all angles, including myself, and I'm trying to make that as prominent in this video as I can. I would treat myself like shit, you know? Example A, the alcohol. And I'm very open about talking about that because, you know, by being open about these things and being honest, it's how other people can learn and grow and help themselves. So yeah, that's why I'm completely transparent about the alcohol thing. I speak about it all the time because, like, if I can help someone else out of that situation, winning. I'm absolutely winning. I wasn't proud of who I was. So I was like, I don't want to be this person. Time to change. I also had a pretty traumatic experience happen to me at my last hospitality job, which is what led me to be able to get free therapy, which I am so grateful for. Like, it was a really shitty thing that had happened to me, and I do continuously struggle with that to this day, but I'm so grateful for that because therapy is so expensive, like so expensive. Which is why I enjoy sitting down here with you guys and having like a mini, you know, one-on-one chit chat, to where if I can help you guys for free from this podcast, from To Nurture Your Soul, like that is like so fulfilling to me because therapy is so expensive. And I think that if I didn't have this awful thing happen to me where I was able to get a certain amount of free therapy sessions, I probably would not have gone, and I would be an awful human being today, honestly. I accredit everything to therapy. Truly and honestly, if you have ever even just contemplated a tiny bit about going to therapy, please go. Even if it's just for, you know, 3 or 4 sessions. Please, for me, for you, try it, because it is like, and I will always say this, it is the best thing that I've ever done for myself. So yeah, that is the main action that I took once I realized I couldn't help myself out of this situation, which again, feel like it's the Taurus in me. I'm the type of person that constantly feels like I can do anything and everything on my own. I was like, no, I'm a strong individual. Like, I always was very like strong mentally, you know, but some things you just need someone else to help you through, and even to just talk to like verbalize what's going on in your head, you know? But yeah, that was the action that I took. I wouldn't change it for the world. I'm so incredibly grateful. I have therapy tomorrow, in fact. And just the whole process of going to therapy is so fun for me now. My appointments are at like 11:30, so I go sit at a cute little cafe for a few hours, edit my little podcast, go talk about my life in therapy, and then I go home and I chill out. You know, it's a really just nice day. It's a nice day to take off from everything as well. I'm really just rambling at this point. Therapy was the action that I took when I realized that I needed external help. So the next thing that I have written down in my little notebook here says to talk about what helps me and my anxiety today, and how I am aware enough to notice the signs before it gets out of hand. So what helps me and my anxiety today? Honestly, any of my hobbies. Drawing on my iPad, creating products for you guys, sitting down, filming this podcast, chit-chatting, therapy, like I said. What else helps my anxiety? I think surrounding myself with the right people has been a massive help to my anxiety. I think realizing that certain people just aren't for me, and like that is okay, and to like let those people go, or to not surround myself with those people as often, has been a massive game changer in my mental health and my anxiety in particular. I very much am the type of person who is a people pleaser. Like I I obviously never ever want to let people down. I never want to make people upset. I never want to like inconvenience anyone in any way. So for the majority of my life, it was really, really difficult for me to detach myself from negative or low vibrational energy because I never wanted to make anyone upset. I never wanted to, be the person to say to someone, you are not my person. You are not aligned with me in my life, whether that be a relationship, a friendship, family, anything, any type of relationship with any type of person, or even a job. Like, I felt so guilty to leave my hospitality job when it was super, super toxic for me because I was worried that they would be left with no one because I really, truly was running the place, And I was like, oh my God, I can't leave. Like, they need me, which, like, that sounds very much up myself, but I'm telling you, I was running the place. I really was. I put my own mental health to the side for the benefit of someone else, which I think I've gotten really, really good at now. Obviously, I'm not a bitch. I'm not gonna go up to someone and be like, you're a shit person for me. Like, see ya. But I'm just, gonna distance myself from people who drain my energy or who leave me feeling like my cup is empty instead of my cup being full. And that is like the biggest thing, honestly, you guys. And I know it's hard to let go of relationships in your life, whether it's any type of relationship, especially when certain people have been in your life for a long time, or it does come to things like family. It's super difficult because you feel like you have that obligation, especially to family, to constantly be around them, even if they aren't the most positive impact to you and your life. But at the end of the day, I think you just have to value your own mental health over, someone being a little bit butthurt for a couple days, couple weeks, however long it may be. At the end of the day, losing people in your life, no matter what type of relationship it is, it sucks and it will always be hard for both parties. But at the end of the day, we all move on. We all keep going with our life. And like I have spoken about before, people are in your life for seasons and reasons. And if the other person is on the same, maturity level as you, then they should understand that. It's never fun to lose people from your life, but it's just part of life, unfortunately. And I think for a long time, I was losing a lot of people from my life, and I was constantly asking myself why, because I would never, ever, ever let go of certain people in my life, no matter how awfully they treated me. Now I have a bit more understanding. My brain is a little bit bigger. I can see things from a wider perspective. And anytime someone leaves my life, or when I need to leave someone else's life, I try to remind myself and remember that people are always in your life for seasons and reasons. Find the positive little nugget that person has left you with, or the life lesson that you have learnt, or the things that you have gained from whatever type of relationship it was that you are leaving, and carry it on with you into the rest of your life. Oh my gosh, I've been chit-chatting so much that my coffee's gone cold. Sad. Is anyone else like me in the fact that like once a warm coffee goes cold, I can't do it. I actually can't. It makes me like, just thinking about the fact that it once was warm and now it's cold. That just doesn't sit right with me. So moving on from that, the very last thing that I want to talk about is the signs and how I notice the signs of anxiety and what I do about it before it gets out of hand. So for me, the signs of anxiety today are very different to what they used to be, but I'm just going to talk about today. In present time, I do still get the overwhelming feeling of like being frustrated and annoyed when I'm anxious. And I also get like a heavy chest. These are two very different types of anxiety. I think most of the time when it's general anxiety about just like a buildup of different things in life, the frustration side comes out. But when something in particular triggers me, that's when the really strong like heart palpitations start. And this very rarely happens. Like I said, it's when something triggers me, and a really big trigger for me in my life currently, and I think I will forever struggle with this just because of things that have happened to me in my past. But a lot of the time that like really strong heart palpitation type of thing happens when I'm in some sort of an argument or disagreement with someone that I really, really care about. Arguments and like I don't know, like I can have a discussion, I can have a heated discussion, and that's fine. But when it turns into feeling attacked or voices raising, like that really triggers me. And that's when my like heart feels like it sinks to my stomach and it starts like, you know, having an anxiety attack pretty much. So that is a really big sign of anxiety for me, and like I said, the frustration for general anxiety. Other than that, like crying sometimes, I think the crying mainly comes when something is like flicked, like when my anxiety is like non-existent one point and then flicks the next moment. My body just like can't comprehend the quick change from okay to not okay, so I just start crying, and people are like, what's wrong? And I'm like, I don't know what's wrong, I don't know what's wrong, because my brain hasn't caught up to my body and why it's in fight or flight mode. Do you know what I mean? As you can see just from those 3 examples straight away, anxiety can present itself in a multitude of different ways, and there is many more, way more than just those 3. Those are just the 3 that I personally struggle with. So hopefully if you struggle with one of those 3, this makes you feel like you're not alone. And if you struggle with any other things with anxiety, maybe leave them in a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube and you feel confident and comfortable to do so, because the more we talk about our triggers and what happens to us when we get anxiety, the more other people can understand their own anxiety and feel like they're not alone when they do have certain symptoms that might not be as popular as others. So yeah, those are all different signs for me, my anxiety at the moment. And the things that I do to control my anxiety or to calm myself down in these moments is to firstly identify what it is that's causing me the anxiety. Most of the time, I am very good now at understanding what is triggering me or why I am feeling anxiety of some sort, and that is where the therapy comes in. Therapy really truly has helped me to understand why I get anxiety, and it also has helped me match which form of anxiety, like how it presents itself, like the crying, the heart palpitations, and the just overwhelming feeling of anger, you know? It's helped me match it to the certain scenarios in my life where it may happen. The first thing that I do is identify what it is that's giving me the anxiety. If it's a conversation I'm having with someone, if it is, just the way that someone is speaking to me, I will obviously try and redirect that conversation into something that isn't an argument, a screaming match. Or if it's just someone talking to me and I'm getting negative vibes, negative energy, I will distance myself from that person from then on, or I will remove myself from the conversation. And I think now that I've been through the healing that I've been through therapy and just years of growth in general and blah, 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 I am really good at doing that. And I truly, truly do think that it's just about practice. Like the more you practice standing up for yourself, putting those boundaries in place, just the more you practice all of these things in general, the better you will be at doing it. And I guess if I'm like out, if there is like a certain situation that's giving me anxiety, like if I'm at an event or something, I'll obviously just leave the event early. Make up any sort of excuse to leave the event early. There is a way out of every situation, you guys, and it doesn't have to be like, I don't know, a way out of every situation. I feel like I probably worded that really badly. If you are uncomfortable in a situation, there is always a way for you to get out of it while you control your emotions, control your anxiety, and then you can either re-enter that conversation if it's a conversation or a room or a situation that you need to go back into, for example, work, once you feel safe to do so. So yeah, I don't know. I think I'm super, I was gonna say lucky, but I don't know if lucky is the right word. Like, I've put in a lot of effort to be where I am today. And I was going to say I'm super lucky that I don't have anxiety as much as I used to. But again, I'm going to suck my own dick here a little bit. Not to be too vulgar, but like, I put the effort in to get here to where I am today. And I don't know if I want to accredit that to luck. Do you know what I mean? And I'm going to sit here and say that. And you should too, if you've put work into yourself. Be proud of the work that you've put into yourself and don't feel like it is arrogant or stuck up to say that you are proud of yourself and that you have come really far. For a lack of a better word, I guess, I'm very lucky that I do not have anxiety as much as I used to. So these aren't things that I struggle with every day. But again, it's because I surround myself with positive people who do not evoke anxiety in me. And I also have just a healthier work-life balance. I eat healthier. I exercise now. There is so many attributes in my life that I have put in place to help me get through every day a little bit easier and with a lot less challenges. So yeah, is that everything that I have to talk about on this topic? I think so. I'm actually really, really happy with the way that this episode has gone. So please let me know in a comment down below if you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please give this video a thumbs up. It really does help me out a lot. I really want to get back into doing vlogs, you guys. I said this before I went away on my UK trip. Get back into doing vlogs. I really, really, really do. It's just finding the things to film. Like, what do you guys want me to vlog about? I feel like my life is very boring, which is why I don't vlog. And I also get vlog shy. Oh god, I feel like that's the next thing that I want to work on in my life, you know? I've conquered the anxiety for as much as I can at the moment. Next thing, the vlog shyness, the constant fear of thinking that people are judging me for doing what I love. That's what I'm going to work on next. I think I have 2 hours until I have to be at my other job, so she's making moves. I might even have some time to do some designs this morning. I think that's going to be it, you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. As always, if you would like to email us, I know this is very repetitive. I say it in every episode, but if you have any questions or topic suggestions or just anything that you would like me to read, anything you want to get off of your heart and out into the universe, as always, you can email me at tonurtureyoursoulpodcast@gmail.com. I check that email every single week and I would love to hear from you guys if there is anything you would like me to talk about on the podcast. Emailing in really, really helps me out, you guys. At the moment, I have no idea what I'm going to talk about next week. And if I truly cannot think of something to talk about, like, I won't film because I don't want to just sit here and just talk shit, you know, about nothing. So please let me know if there is anything you want to hear me talk about. And yeah, make sure to follow To Nurture Your Soul on TikTok and Instagram. My personal TikTok and Instagram is I'm Lacey Jane. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. I love you all very much, and I will talk to you all in the next episode.